الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلي وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى أهله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. أي نعم. تفسير الصعدي بعبد الرحمن بن ناصر الصعدي رحمه الله. سورة التغابون. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يسبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير. All that is in the heavens and all that is on earth glorifies Allah. Is the dominion to him praise, and he has power over all things. هو الذي خلقكم فمنكم كافر ومنكم مؤمن والله بما تعملون بصير. It is who has created you. Some of you are disbelievers and some of you are believers. And Allah sees well all that you do. أي نعم. خلق السماوات والأرض بالحق وصوركم فأحسن صوركم وإليه المصير. Allah created the heavens and the earth for a true purpose, and He shaped you and shaped you and He shaped you and shaped you well, and unto Him is the return of all. يعلم ما في السماوات والأرض ويعلم ما تسرون وما تعلنون والله عليم بذات الصدور. He knows all that is in the heavens and on earth, and He knows what you conceal and what you disclose, and knows well what is in your hearts. This verse refers to many beautiful and sublime attributes of the Creator. He mentions His perfect divinity, His complete self-sufficiency, and the need of all the creatures for Him, and the glorification and the praise of their Lord by all who are in the heavens and on earth. And He tells us that all dominion belongs to Allah, so no creature is beyond His control. All the praise is for Him, praise for what He possesses of perfect attributes, praise for what He has created of all things, praise for what He has prescribed of laws and what He has bestowed of blessings. His power is all-encompassing, and nothing that is beyond His control. Nothing is beyond Him. He tells us that He created human beings and made some of them believers and some of them disbelievers. Therefore, their faith or disbelief is all according to the will and decree of Allah, and it is He who allowed that for them, as He has given them power and will, by means of which they are able to choose to comply with whatever they want of His commands and prohibitions. Allah sees well all that you do. Having mentioned the creation of man, who is accountable and is subject to commands and prohibitions, Allah now mentions the creation of other created things. Allah created the heavens and the earth, that is their physical essence and all that is in them, and He has made them well for a true purpose, that is on the basis of wisdom and for the purpose that He intended. And He shaped you and shaped you well. This is like the verse in which Allah says, "Verily we have created man in the best of conditions." Man is the best of all creatures in form, and the most elegant in shape. And unto Him is the return of all on the day of resurrection, when He will requite you for your faith or disbelief, and will question you about the blessings and life of ease that He bestowed upon you. And did you give thanks to Him or not? Then Allah mentions the all-encompassing nature of His knowledge. He knows all that is in the heavens and on earth, that is of things that are hidden and obvious, and seen and seen, and He knows what you conceal and what you disclose. Allah knows well what is in your heart, that is what they contain of good secrets and negative feelings, good intentions and corrupt aims. Because He knows well what is in our heart, it's essential for the wise person to be keen and strive to guard his inner thoughts from bad attitudes and to acquire good characteristics. ألم يأتيكم نبأ الذين كفروا من قبل فذاقوا وبلهم ولهم عذاب أليم. Have the stories not reached you of those disbelievers who came before you? They tested the evil consequence of their deeds, and theirs will be a painful punishment. ذلك بأنه كانت تأتيهم رسل بالبينات فقالوا بشر يهدوننا فكفروا وتولوا واستغنوا الله والله غني حميد. That is because their messengers come to them with clear signs, but they said, Shall mere men guide us? Thus they disbelieve and turn away, but Allah had no need of them or their faith, and Allah is self-sufficient and worthy of all praise. Having mentioned His perfect attribute for which He is known and worshipped, and efforts are made to seek His pleasure and avoid incurring His wrath, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now tells us of what happened to previous nations and past generations, whose stories are still told by the later generations. The truth will speak of them, and how when the messenger brought to them through the truth to them, they stubbornly rejected it. Therefore Allah caused them to test the evil consequence of their deeds in this world, and to be discussed thereby, and there should be a painful punishment in the hereafter. Hence He mentions the reason for the punishment, that namely the punishment and the evil consequence that were sent upon them happened because their messengers came to them with clear signs that pointed truth and falsehood, but they resented it and were arrogant towards the strange messengers and said, Shall mere men guide us? That is, they are no better than us. Why did Allah single them out and not us? This is like the verse in which Allah says, The messenger said to them, indeed we are but human beings like yourself, but Allah bestows his favor upon whomever wills of his slaves. They denied the blessing and favor that Allah bestowed upon his prophets by decreeing that they should be messengers to humankind, and were too arrogant to submit to them. That led them to worship rocks and trees and the like. Thus they disbelieved in Allah and turned away from obedience to Him. But Allah had no need of them and does not care about them, and their going astray does not harm Him in the slightest. Allah is self-sufficient, worthy of all praise. That is, He is the self-sufficient. He is the self-sufficient who is completely and absolutely independent and has no need of anyone in any way, praiseworthy in his words, actions, and attributes. زعم الذين كفروا لن يؤبدوا قل بلى ورب لتؤبدون ثم عملتم ذلك الله يسير. Those who disbelieve claim that they will never be resurrected. Say, yes, indeed, by my Lord, you will surely be resurrected. Then you will surely be informed of all that you have done, and that is easy for Allah. Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us of the stubbornness and false claims of the disbelievers and the denial of resurrection, with no knowledge and no guidance and no clear book. He commanded the noblest of his creation to swear by his Lord that he will indeed resurrect them and requite them for their evil deeds and return of the truth, and that is easy for Allah, for even though it is difficult and in fact impossible for humans, for even if all their strength were combined to revive one dead person, they will not be able to do that. But for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He wills a matter, He merely says to it be, and it is. And Allah says elsewhere, the trumpet will be blown, and all those who are in the heavens and on earth will soon, except whoever Allah wills, then it will be blown again, whereupon they will be standing looking around. فآمنوا بالله ورسوله والنور الذي أنزلنا والله بما تعملون خبير. So believe in Allah and His Messenger and the light, the Quran that we have sent down, and Allah is well aware of all that you do. Having mentioned the denial of those who denied the resurrection, and that this was an implication of disbelief on their part in Allah and His revelation, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now enjoins adherence to that which will protect one from doom and misery, which is to believe in Allah and His Messenger and His book. Allah calls His book light, because light is the opposite of darkness, and the rulings, laws, and stories in the book that Allah has sent down are lights that will guide one in the dark depths of overwhelming ignorance and enable him to walk in the darkness of night. Anything other than the following the guidance of the book of Allah is a type of knowledge of which the harm is greater than any benefit, and its evil is greater than its good. In fact, there is nothing good and no benefit in it except that which is in accordance with the message brought by messengers. Belief in Allah, His Messenger and His book dictate that one should have certain faith and true belief in them, and that one should act in accordance with them by complying with their commands and heeding their provisions. And Allah is well aware of all that you do, and He will requite you for your deeds, both righteous and otherwise. يوم أجمعكم ليوم الجمع ذلك يوم التغابن ويوم بالله ويعمل ثانيا يقول سيئات ادخلوا جنة الأنهار خالدين فيها أبدا ذلك الفوز العظيم. أيوة ذلك الفوز العظيم. أي نعم. And He will locate you on the day on which He will gather you for the day of gathering, the day of great loss. But whoever believes in Allah and does righteous deeds, He will be absolved them of their bad deeds and admit them to gardens through which rivers flow, to abide therein forever. That is the supreme truth. والذين كفروا بآياتنا أولئك أصحاب النار خالدين فيها وبئس المصير. However, those who disbelieve and reject our signs, they will be inhabitants of the fire, to abide therein forever, a helpless journey's end. That is, and He will requite you on the day of gathering, on which Allah will gather the first and the last and make them stand in a huge assembly, and will inform them of what they did. On that day, the differences between people will become apparent. Some people will be raised at the highest status in the lofty chambers and dwellings, and that contain all delights and pleasures, and some people will be brought down to the lowest of low status, a place of distress, anguish, grief, and severe punishment. That will be the outcome of what they sent forth for themselves and what they did during their adri life. Hence Allah says that day of great loss, when there will be a huge difference between people in terms of winning and losing, the believers will be winners and the evildoers will be great losers. The wicked will realize that they were following something of no value and that they are indeed losers. Just if it was asked, how does one attain prosperity and bliss or incur doom and lose? And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned the causes and means of both by saying, but whoever believes in Allah with perfect faith, which includes believing in everything that Allah has enjoined people or to believe in, and does righteous deeds, both obligatory and supererogatory, by fulfilling his duties towards Allah and towards His slaves, He will absolve them of their bad deeds and admit them to gardens through which rivers flow, in which there is all that their souls may desire, and that they may delight their eyes. which their hearts long, where they will find the ultimate desires to bind them forever. That is the supreme triumph. However, those who disbelieve and reject our signs, that is, they disbelieve in them without basing their disbelief on any religious text or rational thinking, rather clear evidence comes to them, but they disbelieve in it and stubbornly rejected what it pointed to. They will be inhabitants of the fire, to abide there forever, helpless journey's end, because it will contain all suffering, hardship, misery, and torment. أي نعم. ما أصاب من مصيبة إلا بإذن الله ومن يؤمن بالله يهدي قلبه. أيوة. والله بكل شيء عليم. أي نعم. No calamity occurs except by Allah's leave. Whoever believes in Allah, He will guide his heart right. أي نعم. And Allah has knowledge of all things. وأطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول فإن توليتم فإنما الرسول البلاغ المبين. Obey Allah and obey the messenger, but if you turn away, then know that the duty of our messenger is only to convey the message in the clearest way. أيوة. الله لا إله إلا هو عليه فليتوكل المؤمنون. Allah, there is no God but He, and in Allah let the believers put their trust. No calamity occurs except by Allah's leave. This is general in meaning and includes all calamities, where they affect the individual himself, his world, his children, his loved ones, and so on. Everything that befalls people happens by the will and decree of Allah, and was already known to Allah in His prior knowledge, and was written by His pen, ordained by His will, and dictated by His wisdom. What matters is whether the individual will do what is required of him or not. If he does what is required of him, then he will have a great reward in this world and the hereafter. If he believes that it is from Allah and he accepts it and submits to His decree, Allah will guide his heart, and he will be reassured, and he will do not panic at times of calamity. As happened in the case of the one whose heart is not guided by Allah, and Allah will grant him satisfaction when calamity strikes, and will help them to patience, that he will attain reward in this world in addition to what Allah has stored up for him on the day of requital. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says elsewhere, verily those who are patient and steadfast will be rewarded abundantly without measure. Thus it is known that whoever does not believe in Allah and when calamity strikes, in the sense that he does not acknowledge the divine will and decree, and focus only on causes, will be forsaken, and Allah will leave him on his own devices. If a person is left to his own desires, in that case he has nothing left at a time of calamity, panic and despair, which is an independent management before the version of the hereafter, for having fallen short in adhering to patience. This has to do with the meaning of the prayers. Whoever believes in Allah, He will guide his heart right within the limited extent of contact of calamity. As for what phrase means in general terms, Allah tells us that for everyone who believes in the man enjoined believing in Allah, His angels, His books, His messengers, last day, and the divine decree, both good and bad, and confirms his faith by doing what it requires of duties. This is a great means of attaining Allah's guidance in all circumstances, words and deeds, and in His knowledge and action. أي نعم. This is the best reward Allah bestows upon those who believe, as He says when telling us that He will make the believers steadfast in the life of this world and the hereafter. Steadfastness means constantly patience and standing in their heart when trials come. Allah says, Allah will make steadfast those who believe with the word that stands firm in this world and the hereafter. The believers are the most guided of people in their heart, and the most steadfast at times of panic and anxiety. This is because of what they have of faith. Obey Allah and obey the messenger. That is by complying with their commands and heeding their prohibitions. Obedience to Allah and obedience to His Messenger form the foundations and basis of happiness and prosperity. But if you turn away from obedience to Allah and obedience to His Messenger, then know that the duty of our messenger is only to convey the message in the clearest way. That is to convey to you that which has been sent to you in such a way that it becomes clear to you and proof established against you, leaving no excuse for you. He has no power to guide you or to bring you to an account. It is only the knower of the unseen and the seen who will bring you to account for obedience to Allah and His Messenger, or otherwise Allah there is no God but He. That is the only one who is deserving of worship and devotion. Everything that is worship besides Him is false. And in Allah let the believers put their trust. That is, let them rely on Him in every matter of concern to them and everything they want to do, for nothing could be achieved except with the help of Allah, and there is no way to attain what one wants except by relying on Him. One can't truly rely on Allah unless one thinks progressively of Him and trusts Him to take care of the matter on which one is relying on Him. According to the level of one's faith, the stronger a person's faith is, the stronger his trust in Allah will be. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن من أزواجكم وأولادكم عدوا لكم فاحذروه وإن تعفوا وتصفوا وتغفروا فإن الله غفور رحيم. Or you believe verily among your spouses and your children are some that are enemies to you, so be aware of them, but if you pardon, overlook and forgive their misdeeds, then verily Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful. إنما أموالكم وأولادكم فتنة والله عنده أجر عظيم. Your wealth and your children are but a trial, and with Allah there is an immense reward. He Allah warns the believers against being deceived by wives and children, for some of them are enemies to you, and enemies one who wishes ill towards you. Your role is to be a light to anyone who is like that, for people are naturally inclined to love their wives and children. Allah gives this advice to his slaves, lest their love makes them succumb to the demands of wives and children. Even if there is some shari reservation about what they want, he encourages people to adhere to his commands and give precedence to seeking his pleasure by mentioning that which is with him of great reward, which will help them to attain these sublime aims and goals, and to give precedence to the hereafter over this transient world, because the prohibition on obeying wives and children has to do with that which is harmful and is a warning against that. This may lead to some to think that they should be harsh towards them and punish them. Therefore Allah tells us to be cautious regarding them, yet at the same time to overlook and forgive, for that serves innumerable interest. Allah says, but if you pardon, overlook and forgive their misdeeds, then verily Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful, because the reward matches the nature of the deed. So whoever pardons others, Allah will pardon him. Whoever overlooks the errors, Allah will overlook his errors. Whoever forgives them, Allah will forgive him. Whoever behaves with Allah as he likes to and behaves with his slaves as they like him to, and befit them, will attain the love of Allah and the love of his slaves, and he will be in a good position. فاتقوا الله ما استطعتم واسمعوا واتقوا وانفقوا لأنفسكم واشوا نفسي فأولئك هم المفلحون. So fear Allah as best you can, listen and obey, and spend in charity for the good of your souls. Those who are protected from their own covetousness, it is they who will be successful ones. إن تقرضوا الله قرضا حسنا يضاعف لكم ويغفر لكم والله شكور حليم. If you lend to Allah a good loan, He will multiply it for you and forgive you. Allah is appreciable, appreciative, most forbearing. عالم الغيب فهو شهادته العزيز الحكيم. Know of the unseen and the seen, the Almighty, the most wise. Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enjoins his slaves to fear him, which means complying with his commands and heeding his prohibitions according to what one is able to do. This verse indicates that every duty a person is unable to do because it is too difficult for him is waived in his case. But if he is able to do some of it and unable to do some of it, then he should do whatever he is able to do, and what he is unable to do is waived for him. As Prophet said, when I command you to do something, do as much of it as you can. Bukhari. This principle includes innumerable main issues of religion. Listen to what Allah exhorts you to do and what He prescribes for you of rulings. Learn about that and submit to Him, and obey Allah and His Messenger in all your affairs, and spend in ways that are both obligatory and recommended. For this will be good for you in this world and in the hereafter. All goodness is in obeying the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, accepting His guidance and submitting to His laws, and only voice in doing the opposite of that. But there is a problem that prevents many people from spending in the manner enjoined, which is the covetousness that is inherent in most people. They are stingy with their wealth. They love to have it, and they dislike parting with it. Whoever Allah protects from the evil of his own covetousness, so that he lets himself spend in ways that are beneficial to his soul, it is they who will be successful ones, because they have done what is required of them and been saved from what is feared. Indeed, this may include all commands and prohibitions that are ordained for people. But if a person is covetous, he will not be able to do what he is enjoined, and he will not pay what is due, and he will not be successful. Rather, he will be a loser in this world and in the hereafter. But if he is easygoing and at ease, and accept the laws of Allah and seeks the pleasure of Allah, then there will be nothing standing between him and doing what is enjoyed, except coming to know of it and releasing that is pleasing to Allah, and realizing it's pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he will prosper, succeed, and attain the great truth. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala urges people to spend, saying, if you lend to Allah a goodly loan, this refers to any spending from permissible earnings. If the intention is to spend it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and seek His pleasure, and is spent in an appropriate manner, He will multiply it for you, tenfold up to 700-fold, up to many times more than that. And in addition to multiplying it, He will forgive you your sins because of what is spending and charity. For Allah expiates sins by means of acts of charity and good deeds. Allah is appreciative, most forbearing is forbearing, and does not hasten to punish the one who disobeys Him. Rather, He gives respite, but He does not forget. If Allah was to take humankind to task for what they have earned, He will not leave on the face of the earth a single living creature, but He gives them respite for appointed time. Allah is appreciative. He has set a little of good deeds from His slaves and rewards them greatly for them. He is appreciative of those who bear hardships and difficulties for His sake. Whoever gives up a thing for the sake of Allah, Allah will compensate him with something better than it. Know of the unseen and the seen. That is all that is hidden from people of our host, that no one knows but He, and what they can see of created things. The Almighty, who cannot be overcome or resisted, who has subjugated all things, the most wise in His creation and command, and He does not, and He does what is appropriate. This is the end of the commentary on Soorat Taghaabun. All praise and thanks are for Allah, and may the praise and peace of Allah be upon Prophet ﷺ, his family and his companions until the day of judgment.